Hola, it's Senora Routley, and I'm joined today by Senorita Castro and Senorita Lee to help you to revise for your Spanish Foundation Writing exam. Here are the dates for your November mocks. The writing is the first exam that you will do this time, and it is worth 25% of your overall grade. However, don't forget that the phrases you revise for the writing exam can be reused for your speaking.
The great thing about the writing exam is that there are no tricks. The examiner just needs to see that you can use opinions, past tense, future tense, and some aim high phrases in Spanish. I know that you can all do this. You know that you can all do this, but the examiner doesn't know you. The only evidence they will have of your ability is the piece of paper put in front of them. So they need evidence that you have those skills, and it's up to you to show them the evidence in the exam. If we have a look at the grade boundaries from 2019, we can see that you needed 40 marks out of 60 for a grade 5. However, to pass the exam, you need just over half marks. So if you make sure that you've learnt your opinions, past tenses and future tenses ready for the exam tomorrow, you should be absolutely fine.
As we always tell you, of course you need knowledge to be successful in your exams, but you also need to think very strategically. So the top tips for writing exam are choosing the essay that you know the most vocabulary for. So make sure you read the question carefully. On the foundation paper, they give you a choice for question 2 and a choice for question 3. Don't end up answering every single question on the paper. Choose the question that you think you can be the most successful at. Remember, the examiner doesn't know you, so don't show what you don't know. If you're not very strong on the environment topic and there is another question about school that you are good at, then do that one. Show them what you're good at. Number 2, you can memorise phrases at home, and as soon as you get into the exam, you could write a checklist at the top of the paper. Remember, you must revise the structure for describing a photo, and that's question 1 on the foundation paper, so it should be really easy marks. Number 3, it's a good idea to start with question 3 because it's worth 20 marks. Remember, we definitely want to be scoring around 40 out of 60 to safely pass. So if you do well at question 3, you will have scored the bulk of your marks already. So spend a lot of time on that one. It's question 3 and it needs to contain 3 things: past, opinion and future. Tip number 4. If you break the translation down into grammar points rather than word by word, that will make it easier to solve. For example, when you're reading the sentences and they say something like, yesterday I went, and in your head straight away you should be thinking, okay, the examiner is testing my knowledge of the past tense here. Don't start worrying, oh, I've never heard the word for went in Spanish. Because once you've established that, you have to provide an answer in the past tense, then you can think about an appropriate verb to use. Tip number 5. If you have time at the end, check for common mistakes. For example, verb endings. When you're writing about yourself in the first person, all verbs will end in O. But if you're writing about your brother or your friend, the verb will typically need to end in A or E. However, if you're talking about a group of people in the present tense, for example, they are eating, it's often an or en. For example, hablan or comen. So just check for typical mistakes. Number 6, make sure that you use opinions, past and future. I always remind foundation pupils that the exam makes it easy for you to remember. Question 1 has one important thing, opinions. Question 2 has 2 important things, opinion and future. Question 3 has 3 important things, opinions, past and future. So when you're doing question 3, you have to make sure that you can use past and future tense along with opinions, otherwise you will miss out on the best marks. And my final tip is to use your speaking preparation. You have memorised a lot of really good phrases for your speaking exam in the past, so put them into your writing exam. The same person will not be marking your speaking and your writing exam for the real thing. So practice it on this set of mocks.
If it were me completing my foundation writing paper tomorrow, I would do it in the following order because I would be thinking about strategy and marks. I would start with question 3 because it is worth 20 marks. I need to give that question my absolute best effort. I need to make sure that my past tense and future tense and opinions are all used correctly in that question. If I do that, it will be easy for me to get those 20 marks. If I leave that and rush it at the end, I will lose a large amount of marks on my paper overall, 20 out of 60. I would then do question 2 because it's a 40 to 50 word letter or email. It's 16 marks, so it's also worth quite a lot, but you only really need to write about 10 words per bullet point. So it's worth putting effort into collecting as many of those marks in this short piece of writing. Then I would do the picture description because that should be 12 easy marks. If you revise the structure tonight, I would leave the translation until last because with the translation, if you don't know a word, you're not going to suddenly learn that word while doing the exam. You can write as much of the sentence as you know, but it would make more sense strategically to put your effort into creating strong essays full of opinions, past and future tense for the previous questions. At the end of the exam, you should make sure you leave time to check your work. This means reading back over what you have written and finding examples of opinions, past and future. Have I used me gusta? Have I written fui? Have I included voy a ir? Also make sure you can find examples of aim high phrases, such as que se llama. Later in this video, there are some more examples of aim high phrases. Make sure that you have used them. You have spent years learning them, so don't waste your opportunity to show that you know them.
As previously mentioned, question 3 needs you to show 3 important things: opinions, future, and past. Question 2 needs you to show 2 important things: opinions and future tense. Question 1 needs you to show 1 important thing: opinions. Don't be the student who forgets to give an opinion on the picture description. The question number helps you to remember all the crucial points you need to make in the exam.
best preparation that you can be doing at home now is learning a checklist of phrases in Spanish that will definitely score you high marks. Here are some examples from previous pupils. Pause now and write down the opinion, past and future phrases that you already know.
You have identified which phrases you know. Now let's have a look at some more interesting examples of opinions. For example, adding expressions like estoy harto o harta de or no aguanto look much better than aburrido or odio when giving negative opinions. For positive opinions, it can be more interesting adding me chifla or lo mejor es. And for some neutral opinions, I really like the one that says desde mi punto de vista or hay que ser honesto. Remember that adding these ones to your writings gives a much more interesting look rather than the typical ones like me gusta or prefiero. Now, pause the video and add your favorite words from this slide to your checklist.
Don't forget to add some intensifiers, qualifiers and frequency adverbs to your writing. Ones that I use quite often are bastante, de vez en cuando and a veces. Pause now and add your favourite ones to your checklist.
Organizing your text when writing makes it look clearer, and also the examiners will give you more marks if you extend your sentences. So make sure that you choose some of these linking sentences and add it to your writing as an interesting connective words. For example, I will add things like para finalizar or al fin y al cabo in order to summarize your idea in the text. Or you can also link your opinions as using por un lado and then por otro lado. The first question that you will find will be a picture description, something that we've done many times in class. In order to get 12 easy marks, remember to use our structure what, where, action, and emotion. So, in the what is what is in the photo, for example, en la foto hay. Where will be the location that you can see from the photo, for example, pienso que están en el insti. The action will be always using the gerunds, so the end do, diría que están trabajando, o diría que están estudiando, etc. The emotion will be what it looks like to you. For example, parece que están contentos or parece que están concentrados. You can also add extra phrases such as the weather or their clothes, but don't forget to add the opinion.
As Señorita Castro mentioned in the last slide, giving your opinion is absolutely essential on the first question for photo description. This is where it differs slightly from the speaking exam because you must include an opinion on the thing mentioned in the question. So as you can see in this example, it says describe la foto y da tu opinión sobre la lectura. This is asking you to give your opinion about reading. So we can start with a simple opinion such as me gusta leer en papel, and the best answers would give a reason for that as well, using porque es, for example. Do not forget to include an opinion at the end of your photo description. On the topic of opinions, we can think about how to extend our answers. We know that opinions must be used in questions 1, 2 and 3 for the writing exam, but giving a simple opinion is not going to get you as many marks as you would need to pass the exam, so we need to be able to extend it. One way we can do this is using the YMCA. The YMCA helps you to develop your answers as much as possible. We start with mentioning what you think, what is your opinion. So mention your idea. Then we mention someone else, for example, my friend or my family. So we could say, pero mi amigo, but my friend thinks something else. We can then contrast the idea, so give a different opinion to that of your friend or your family member, using sin embargo to say however. And finally, we add any additional information we can think of, such as examples, using también to say also. For example, we've got me encanta ir al café, that is your opinion. Pero mi madre me dijo que son demasiados caros. But my mum told me that they are too expensive. That is mentioning somebody else. Sin embargo, ella no puede cocinar. However, she can't cook. This is contrasting the idea. And finally, we are adding information with también no como nunca en los restaurantes, saying also I never eat in restaurants. So this is a much more developed opinion rather than just saying I love going to the cafe. So if you are a little stuck on how to develop your answers, think of the YMCA. We need to think of some basic opinion phrases that we can use in any situation. You probably already have some that you use regularly, but I've got a few examples for you now. We can use sentence starters such as honestamente, hay que ser honesto, según mi amigo, or para mí. We probably know some adjectives and some other opinion phrases as well, but to make your opinion stand out, we could use some intensifiers such as tan, bastante, muy o realmente, or even un poco. Thinking of some adjectives, there are many adjectives that are similar in English and Spanish, such as fenomenal or super, but we can use other ones like genial, maravilloso, la leche, or even soso or aburrido. Have a few adjectives that you would like to use in your opinions in your head and get practicing your opinions for your revision. Okay, on to the past and future phrases. If you remember, these will come up in the third question definitely. In the second question, you will need to be using future as well as opinions. We've been using past tense for a long time now, and you've been using it in your registers quite recently. So when you are giving a past tense phrase, think of those basic ones that you really know how to use and get the accurate ones in first. We could use things like visité, I visited, hice, I did, comí, I ate, or bebí, I ate. If you want to extend your ideas and show off a little, perhaps try using these in the we form. So, visitamos, hicimos, comimos, bebimos. It's also a good idea to include an opinion in the past tense. To do this, we can say fue, to say it was. If you know 2 or 3 past tense verbs off by heart, get those in as soon as you can in your question, and you will be able to show the examiner that you do know how to use the past tense. Something you could do to show off your past tense knowledge is use the imperfect tense. This is a past tense that we've been using recently in lessons. We could start these with the phrase cuando era pequeño or pequeña, to say when I was younger. Then we can use one of these 2 phrases followed by an infinitive. This is the easiest way to use the imperfect tense. We could say, me gustaba visitar. I used to like to visit. Or, solía comer. I used to eat something. We could also, if you have a few in mind, use the imperfect tense without me gustaba and solía. We could say comía or jugaba to say I used to eat or I used to play something. On to the future tense. Remember, this comes up in question 2 and question 3. We need to have a few set phrases that we can use just like in the past tense. Some of the easy ones we can use are me gustaría plus an infinitive again, such as me gustaría ir, I would like to go. We could use voy a to say I'm going to do something. Voy a visitar. Notice that both of these future tense examples are using infinitives, ir and visitar. Then again, giving our opinion in the future tense will really show off to the examiner your range of vocabulary. We could use the phrase será to say it will be. We could use some more complex future tense phrases such as this one here. Si fuera rico, me gustaría plus an infinitive. This is actually using a high-level phrase for a complex tense at the beginning to say, if I were rich, I would like to do something. Using that conditional tense, we could say sería to say it would be and give our opinion in the future. If there are some new phrases here, write them down now, pause the video and practice using them in a variety of topics.
Make sure that you show off some aim-high phrases to sound just as Spanish as me. When I was in Spain, my friends and I loved to use phrases like sin importar lo que hagamos, estoy harto o harta de, nunca pensé que me habría gustado, aunque sea difícil, siempre vale la pena. So make sure you add some of those in your exam because those were the ones that gave us the higher marks in our Spanish exams in Spain.
Don't forget to revise key question words such as ¿dónde?, ¿por qué?, ¿cuándo?, ¿cómo? They will help you to understand the bullet points. Here are some examples of previous bullet points which contained these words.
Okay, a last reminder on the order to complete the exam. So as soon as you open the exam, the first thing that we should be doing is looking at the question 3. That is the 80 to 90 word crossover question. This is the one worth the most amount of marks. It's the one we should be spending the most time on. Read between the choices you have. Once you've decided which one you know the most about and can show off the most with, start making your checklist or planning out your question. To do this, you can look at the questions and look for the following opinions, past and future bullet points. As you can see on this first example, we've got 2 opinion points and a past and a future. Make as many notes as you want to at the top of the page, including your checklist of high-level phrases that you really want to include. Once you've done that for your question 3, move on to question 2. Have a look at the options again and make notes on the one that you would like to answer. Once you've completed both question 3 and question 2, then go on to the 2 lots of 12 easy marks. That is the picture description for question 1 and the translation at the end. The picture description should be an easy 12 marks. We practiced this many times before and we know the structure. Don't forget an opinion on the picture description. And the translation, if you remember, is looking for specific grammar points. So it might be looking for you to answer in the past tense. It might be looking for you to mention other people and use the third person. Or it could be asking for the future tense or mentioning other opinion phrases as well. So look for what it wants you to answer and answer it as best you can. Well done, Year 11s. You've made it almost to the end of the video. Hopefully you've been pausing the video and making notes or practicing along with the slides that we have been explaining to you. The final thing that you could do for your revision is using the platform Vocab Slam. This is just for you guys at the Regis School, so make the most of it. At the moment, we've got an area of Vocab Slam called Exam Zone. On here, you'll find various different things you can do ahead of your exams, such as photo description, practicing opinions, past tense, and other grammar topics, as well as some aim high phrases to really boost your marks. So get practicing on this before your writing exam. And as a final reminder, Year 11, there are no tricks in this exam. You are in control completely on your writing exam. As long as you are prepared, you will succeed. There is no reason for you to worry if you have been practicing your writing in Spanish. Remember, the examiner just wants to see you using the following things: the opinions, the past, the future, and aim high phrases. And we should be aiming for about 40 out of 60 marks to be getting a grade 5 on this paper. So if you have practiced and you are prepared, you are in control and can succeed. Now it's up to you, Year 11, to show off everything that you know. Thank you for listening to me, Señorita Castro and Señorita Lee, and buena suerte!